especially since we have a bunch that aren't going to be on. So the whole point of last week was really the whole making change is not always about like behavioral things. It's about like changing your belief system and kind of like the why behind everything. And then that's more sustainable. You guys all know that, but so that's kind of the point of last week, was to really get into recognizing the potential. So also so part of the exercise of thinking back, and then as to where you were to where you are now, and some of the things that you've accomplished or that you've overcome, and then seeing a year from now, thinking of what is possible. And also recognizing what are the emotions that could be associated with that. So when we do those visualization thinking, like a year from now, I can be XYZ, I will be XYZ, what would that feel like? And really getting in touch with what that feeling could be it can be powerful. And that being your driving force and things. If you've been in my previous life coaching courses, which Lori and Jen, you have, behavior is changed by avoiding pain or gaining pleasure. If that pain is strong enough, you know, you think about someone who is just when they say, I've had it, whether it's with a spouse or a health challenge or whatever it is, and they say they've basically had enough pain, and that's enough to make change. Or the pleasure of something potential is strong enough that can change behavior. So when you think of someone who is massively successful, they generally have a pain that's strong enough that's keeping them avoiding certain behaviors, or a pleasure that's strong enough that's keeping them moving forward. So the goal is to really get you guys all to tap into what is that pain and what is that pleasure that's going to keep you moving in the direction you all are going in. You guys are all going in great directions, but to keep that momentum going and recognizing your untapped potential too, when you tap into it, and what else you can gain from that. So that's kind of the goal of it, and having that like deep down belief that we truly are all capable of anything we want to, but it all comes down to, you know, that piece of it, you know, that belief and like recognizing what you can gain from it. So with that said, visualization, when you visualize yourself a year from now, what's one thing that, and any of you can pipe in, what's one thing that kind of popped up in your mind that, wow, this would be amazing, it brought forth a lot of great emotions, anything in your life a year from now that you would like to have happen or accomplish, whatever it might be?
I've struggled with this one. Last time, whenever I did this exercise, I had a laundry list of where I wanted to be and, you know, things that I wanted to accomplish. But because I've already kind of met a lot of those goals, I'm still struggling with the fact that, like, you know, as we talked the last time, what my fear at that time was that, okay, once I reach that goal, is it going to be enough? Am I going to be satisfied? Am I going to be happy now? And as I found, like, no, I'm still in that cycle. Like, okay, no, I'm not. It's not completely there. It's better, but it's not. And so I'm struggling with, like, okay, I would love to be this phenomenal Beachbody coach, have a phenomenal team that not only full of coaches, but I would love to have a customer base, not so much the coaches underneath, but a customer base that are getting like solid results, like actually not just worrying about the numbers, not worrying about SC points and all that other stuff that goes along with it, which is nice, but like actually having a group of people that I help motivate and lead and get them results. And that evokes a lot of positive emotion. And so like that was one thing that I had in my, where I would like to see myself next year. Because like looking back at July of last year, I had just started my journey.
Right.
And I was like super on fire with like sharing everything. And like I was just like up there because I had just finished Transform 20, and like everything was just, it was the beginning and everything felt new and it was on fire and everything. And I'm getting that feeling back, but it's different.
Mm-hmm.
And as I've been sitting here thinking all week, and this whole, there's so much is different now. Everything's new, and I'm still unpacking and still trying to get settled. There's just so many things, and it's like, I don't know right now. Like, and so I think this is something that's going to continue to evolve, and I just have to keep really like going back to this exercise, as and looking back at my notes. Yeah.
And recognizing it's not about the destination. Like you said, you had this feeling like, if I get to this point, I will feel this. It will be like this ultimate, it's not, that it's the journey.
Yeah.
But part of the journey and striving for certain things, you are going to start evoking those emotions before you even reach it. And that's really kind of what we're looking for here. So I'm glad that you recognize it, and it is evolving and challenging, but it sounds like fears are already creeping in your head about things. And we're going to address that. We're going to talk about fear and challenges like that today. But I know you well enough to know that you want to help people in different, not just like fitness stuff. Like, you're just a helper. You are a person that gets satisfaction, pleasure out of being there for people. And so that's a driving force in your behavior, and that, I mean, when we're talking about pain and pleasure, you get a lot of pleasure from that. So we know that, your sort of why with Beachbody, that is your why, is to help people. It's not about money. It's not about Success Club points. It's not about any of that stuff. But we'll talk about the fears and the things that are kind of roadblocks for you. But I also feel like you are going in the right direction too. And that's some of that, recognizing the progress. That's why it's important to see how far you've come, so you are capable. You're super capable.
Yeah, the fears. I'm recognizing and trying to acknowledge them, because now we've gone so far in this journey. All that's left are the hard things. And it's hard. Yeah. I mean, it's hard. And there are things these hard things are things I can't control. I can't fix. And I don't know what to do with it. Mm-hmm. So it's just kind of, because everything's in flux, I'm thinking, try and be positive, like, oh, okay, this will, once it's settled, it'll get better. But I'm recognizing the only way it's going to get better is if I have to change, and I have to work with it.
Right.
Because I can't change it.
Right.
I gotta figure out a way to be okay with it.
100%. We can only change what we're in control of. I mean, and creating the best environment based on what we've got. I mean, even when we're talking about school stuff, like this upcoming year, there's so many unknowns with like our students and our own children, and how are we going to respond to it? But we are completely in control of that. That's the cool part. We're in control of how we respond to it. We can't control what is decided, what's going on. Even Whitmer, we can't control decisions she makes, whether we agree or don't disagree, or if we agree or disagree with our own districts. We have no control over that, but we do have the power to control our reactions to things and how we're going to best respond to it. And that goes with different areas. I was just bringing that because we were talking about that before, but having the power to know that. How about the rest of you? Any I know I've talked to you guys a little bit about where you want to be, but anything you want to share, Lori, Nicole, or Christy?
Yeah, so let's see. Jennifer, do you go by Jennifer or Jen or Jenny?
Jen, most of the time.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So something that Jen just said really resonated with me, and it was that whole, like, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. And I see, like, just even talking about it, that is a goal for me, just to be more present and enjoy that journey. And instead of looking, I guess it's like that deficit thinking that, well, I'm not exactly where I want to be or where I think I should be. So you focus on maybe you're not making progress the way that you think you should, or that you'd like to. So focusing on that rather than just enjoying the moment and still working to meet your goals. But that just really spoke to me when you were explaining that. So thanks.
Well, and it's so
And that's a good way of putting it,
Mhm.
being more present. Because that's one of the things that one of my partner's biggest gripes with me is that I'm never present and I don't just chill out. I'm always going. What's next? What's next? What's next? And he's completely opposite from me on that. And it's a big problem in our relationship because we're never on the same wavelength. And he's trying so hard to get me just to chill out, and I'm just like, I don't want, like, I don't know how, and I don't want to. But that's being present. That's good. I'm writing that down.
It is really hard because, I mean, we all want to be present, but we also understand the value of, you know, continuing to push ourselves to do things that we want to do with our lives, that we can create the life we want to create. But also being like, we're exactly where we need to be also at the same time. Such a weird concept. It's almost like opposite, but to be able to have those two feelings at the same time, that I am present and where I want to be, but I also, or where I'm supposed to be, but I also know I'm capable of doing different things that I want to do with my life, is powerful. But I think it's hard because our society tells you to do this, and it's hard to be both. But yeah, so. Christy, what did you come up with, girl? I'm gonna put you on the spot.
Not anything like earth shattering.
That's okay. It doesn't have to be earth shattering.
Jen, I actually just I totally missed it last week, but my sign up coach date was 6 years ago last week.
Wow.
And I'm like, I'm clearly not where I would like to be as a successful Beachbody coach, but listening to you talk about the journey, I have impacted lives. I continue to inspire people. I hear that all the time. So I am making a difference, even though I'm not where I've always thought I would end up with it. But I did say that I would like to have 5 more working coaches by next year at this time, and that I would for sure have Christina to Diamond. That's my one working coach now. And then just on a personal level, just continue to support my husband on our business adventure that we are starting. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now with continuing my workouts. That's never an issue for me.
No, that's never been.
What kind of business?
Oh, we lost you, Christy. Can you hear us? You're not muted, which is weird.
Oh,
There we go.
is it working now again?
Yeah, it's working.
It did say my connection was unstable. So
yeah, Nicole asked what business your husband's starting.
He is starting a trash business for we live in Hudsonville, and
oh, there she goes again. We can't hear you, Christy. We got the beginning though. That's good. He started his own independent business.
Something in the works.
Oh, there we go.
Did that work? Are you still not hearing me?
I hear you now. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
Sorry.
some business goals and some family support goals. But I, just knowing you, you've had some roadblocks, which have been mindset related.
Yep.
mindset related, that's kind of kept you from what your potential is with the business, but also recognizing, I think it is important that you recognize that you have impacted a ton of lives. You've created a super consistent, healthy program for yourself from day one. You've been so consistent, and it's been good for your health. You know what I mean? So you got to think about what you've done for yourself. You have brought in some, money into your family here and there. You've done some things. Just because we reach for the stars doesn't mean that we're always going to reach the stars, but it's always good to reach for them. And recognize it's okay if we fall short. Part of it's the journey. So that's a good thing. Anything for you, Nicole? I know you shared some things with me privately. Do you have any top things that came up that would just bring a lot of pleasure to you? And it doesn't mean that it doesn't have to be like a very tangible goal. It might be like, I don't know, something related with how you feel about yourself, relationships, whatever it might be. It doesn't have to be a tangible goal, but
still working on the strengthening with the videos and stuff.
With
That's
the
really
what?
taken a lot than I thought, because I haven't done anything since my surgery.
Right.
So it's amazing how different that changed and how quickly.
I bet. Yeah.
But it's coming back slowly, but it's coming.
Just like physical strength. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was surprised from last time how much I'd written down versus this time. I really had to think about it for a while. So I think
You did
that's
write a
huge.
lot of things down. So
Yeah.
that awareness is good. You've got some personal awareness.
But I had to think about it rather than it just coming to me. So I feel like that's improvement, that it wasn't forefront.
Right. And being really, I don't know, being able to recognize what it would feel like to be in that situation, whatever situation you're looking for.
Yeah, I can make up stuff, but I really don't know. So I struggled with that.
Mm-hmm. And that's okay, because we're going to be kind of unveiling some of that along the way too.
Yeah.
So.
And the relationship stuff, I'm going to become a nun. As in, none of y'all.
None of y'all. I like that. Oh, that's too funny.
Business.
That's too funny.
I got better things to do.
Yeah, I know.
People are nuts. Psycho.
You make me laugh. That's awesome. Okay. All right. So let's talk a little bit. I'm going to go into some things with fear and how to handle it. And I have some little exercises for you that's going to help you identify what the difference between fear, your body's reaction to fear that's telling you really shouldn't do that, because our bodies are created to communicate to us. Obviously, if we are, running into traffic, our body's going to have a fear reaction. That's our body's way of protecting us to get the heck out of there. But then there's a fear reaction we have. I don't know what a better word is for that, where our body responds, but it's actually something we've created for ourselves in our head. That's not reality. So being able to decipher the two, so I'm going to have an exercise for you on that that's going to help you be able to decipher between, no, I shouldn't do this, or that's my, negative self-talk talking to me, or some self-limiting beliefs, things like that. And then I'll have another assignment for you for that. So, and we're also going to talk about excuses. Do you guys have excuses sometimes on things? What are some of your top excuses when it comes to anything? Doesn't have to be what we're talking about. Mine is energy. I don't have the energy, or I don't have the time. That's sometimes mine.
Me too. Energy, time, too many kids around.
Oh my gosh, that's exactly what I said. I say I have too many kids. I just can't. I'm too tired.
I'll get judged.
I'm old. That's a good one too.
Too old for
I
this.
think I'm just lazy
I don't
sometimes.
feel like
Oh
it.
yeah, and I'm too old. People, yeah, worrying about what other people think. That is my number one excuse and my number one holdback.
Okay.
Is caring way too much about other people's opinions about what I do, or anything. It's
Just to.
it is the number one thing. And you know, I've heard that there's such a thing called, like once you get into your 40s, like it's the F at 40s. I'm trying so hard to bring that into like 37. It's like, I'm not going to wait till I'm 40 to get to that point, you know, but that has been something my entire life. And it's not so much about strangers. Like I'm getting better to where I don't care about the strangers as much. It's people close to me that I focus so much on. And they may not even, it's like you were saying earlier, it's like
a little bit too much.
It's in your brain.
Yeah.
Like I'll talk myself out of it like that.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know.
That people pleaser syndrome. Does anyone have the guilty mom syndrome? I've got that bad. And sometimes that drives decisions. And this is tough. It's tough because they're not legitimate. You know, sometimes you are too tired. Sometimes you literally don't have the time. Sometimes you just don't want to deal with what people might say, you know. So Jen, that's not, you know, wrong. You know, it's not necessarily always a bad thing, but being able to be self-aware about still being able to be true to yourself. Sometimes you're just going to let those excuses win, and that's okay. And being all right with it. Like, I just am too tired. I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to deal with people. I'm too tired. I got too much going on. That's fine. But not letting that keep you from propelling yourself forward towards things that you genuinely want for yourself. You know, so once you tap into those things you want for yourself, not letting those things get in the way all the time. Sometimes those things will get in the way sometimes, and that's okay. You know, especially if it's like Beachbody related business stuff. Yeah, there's going to be days where you're like, not happening. And that's okay. But making it so it's not the all the time thing. And the other thing I want you to start thinking about, the word can't, and you probably have heard this somewhere, but when you say I can't do this because I'm too tired or whatever it is, I'm too busy, change your language a little bit and you'll notice that it changes kind of how you feel about it. You change it to I won't do this. I won't do this because I'm too tired. So when you say you can't, it's basically telling you it's not physically possible. I won't do it is giving you the power, like I'm making the decision right now that I'm not going to do this because I just don't want to, or I don't, you know. So change that language and that might change your thought pattern about it a little bit too. So again, with excuses, I kind of alluded to it in the beginning of the call, was that really all our choices come down to decisions we make on a daily basis are we do something because we really want to experience the pleasure from it, or we're avoiding the pain from something. And that really is the deep down reason for pretty much all our decisions we make, you know. And sometimes that pain is perceived, or, you know, sometimes it's that fear thing where false expectations appearing real. I don't know if you've heard that acronym before. It's that false idea of what could happen. So sometimes the pain is that. Or sometimes the pain is actually something that you've experienced in your life. Maybe it's something you've gone through in your life. So, I mean, there's a lot of different ways to look at it, but that's truly what drives our behavior. So when it comes to excuses, it's not usually that surface excuse. Sometimes it is, it truly is. You just literally don't have enough minutes in the day or whatever it might be. But there's usually something a little bit more deep down that goes with it that I just want to challenge you to think about a little bit. And again, challenge you to change the word can't to won't. I won't do that. And that gives you more power because it's empowering you to, like, I'm making the decision for myself right now. It's not having power over me. And it also helps you recognize you are truly 100% in control of what goes on every moment of your day. You are in control. No one else is. So even if you have a very full schedule, a busy job, or active children, or
Fibro.
fibromyalgia, physical limitations, you still have a decision. You have a decision every moment of the day, determining what you do next or how you handle it. And you really are 100% control of your life. And so it's important to really every day recognize that, because there's times in my life too, I've said this before to my sister, like just when the kids are really active and kind of crazy acting, I'm like, sometimes I feel like I'm on a roller coaster that I can't get off, you know? And those are the bad days when I'm just like, I just can't, I'm just going to ride it, you know? And then other days I'm like, gosh, dang it, I'm in charge here and I'm going to handle this. I'm going to take care of it. And I feel a little bit more empowered on those days, but truly we are in charge of our own behaviors and how we respond to situations. And don't let those other things kind of make you ride that roller coaster of life all the time. Sometimes we're going to, without feeling that control. So common excuse, I don't have the time. A really good thing to exercise, to try, you don't have to do this, but I'm pretty certain all of us on this call are pretty busy. We all are. We're all busy. We all have things. We've all got stuff. And all the things that we have going on are important. But there are many things in our lives that we do that is very mundane and silly, and we just do it because we get into behavior habits that we don't even realize we're doing, such as waking up in the morning and looking at my phone. I do this sometimes, and I'm like, I have to like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? I'm sitting here, all of a sudden 30 minutes have passed by, and I read a bunch of stupid memes. Or, yes, it's such a waste of my time. And not that all of your time in life has to be moving you towards a direction, but recognizing there are lots of time in our day that we have that really isn't doing much for us. If you want to have downtime, have directive downtime that really relaxes you, something that you really enjoy, whether it's a TV show that is just really fills your bucket, you know, or going out and have a great conversation with a neighbor, or go out for a glass of wine with a friend. You know, there's things that really don't give you energy. For me, it's the scrolling. It's mindless, and sometimes it burns time, but it also drains my energy. But an exercise you can do is truly just write down what you do every minute of the day. That's a lot of work, but I've read some things with Tony Robbins. It can be really powerful when you look at, like, you probably waste about 2 hours of your day on things that you really don't want to be doing, or things that you don't need to be doing. So there's time in our day that we could sift through and figure out what's really fueling us and what's really draining us. So just kind of being aware of that. That's something to kind of think about when it comes to like time. And then recognizing literally every single thing we do in our day is a choice you've made. So, I mean, I know that's like but empower yourself to recognize, like, I don't have to do anything I don't want to do, and I can do anything I want to do. Is really important to recognize, because we have crazy packed lives. That's part of like kind of how society has built how the American culture is, and good or bad, it is what it is. So that's just something to kind of think about. Media consumption, I think, is the biggest one. Social media consumption, you know, any of those type of things, I think, is okay if you're intentionally making a decision to do it. Like, I really just want to spend time checking out what my friends are doing online. Cool, intentionally do it. Just don't unintentionally do it. Checking email, I get sucked into emails because I get so much junk email in there. So I try to like intentionally spend 20 minutes, like 3 days a week, checking my emails. I don't really check when things pop up. I'm like, if it's urgent, people will text me. During the school year, I have to check it daily, but multiple times a day, but like in the summertime. So I make an intentional decision. So intentionality is really the big piece of it. You know, so that's a big one to kind of recognize, like not having the resources, or not having the knowledge, or not having the, I don't know, like for me, one of my roadblocks is I'm just too old to learn new things about social media, when it's in referring to like business stuff. Like, that's a silly one, because everything is on the internet. Like, I can learn anything. I can YouTube it. I can learn how to do anything basically that there is in the world, even when it comes down to, what did we YouTube the other day? How to put together something. And it was like, I mean, we literally, my sister did this, or no, my cousin did this. She YouTubed how to fix her dryer that busted. And she YouTubed, figured it out. She didn't have to hire someone. I'm like, we can learn so much on the internet. It's a blessing and a curse sometimes, but don't let it be don't let it keep you back. All right, so let's talk about the fears a little bit. So, okay, so Jen, I think you brought this up. Doing the hard things. Didn't you bring that up? The hard things, getting going on that is the hard things. And I think that goes with everyone. Doing the hard stuff, even like a fitness regimen. For me, the hard thing is the nutrition. For some people, the hard thing is the workouts. The workouts I love doing it. I feel strong, I love it, but whatever. The nutrition's the hard part. But here's the thing, is nothing makes you stronger and more confident and more empowered than when you do the hard things and do it the way you want to do it. That's where confidence is born, is when we do the hard things and accomplish something. So always remind yourself of that. Like, this is where diamonds are made, right? You've heard that, pressure is where the diamonds are made. So recognizing that the hard things on the other side of the hard is really some amazing stuff. And so being able to, again, associate that pleasure with, oh my gosh, if I get over this, when I get over this, because I know I'm capable, what is there to await me? Whether it's like nutrition or getting into a routine of, I'm just going to share, Stephanie Lewandowski said one of her dreams is to write a book one day. And getting started, that's sometimes the hardest part, just getting started and getting back to writing, that's a big, tough one. But then once you get going, you know that you're capable of it, and that's where confidence is born. And then accepting that fear is just part of life. It's part of the process of life. So we know that. Okay. All right. So I want to talk to you about this exercise that you can try when you're like in a crossroads, or you're in a point where you're like, I'm not sure if I should move forward with this. Is this fear as in God or a bigger power telling me, no, you should not do this? Or is this fear as in, I'm just scared and I'm telling myself that bad things will happen, and that it's our negative self-talk talking to us? So being able to tell the difference between fear and intuition. Okay. So it's kind of like a gut check. So this is what you can do in this situation. If you're truly in a situation where you're like, I'm not sure where to go with this. And this can kind of go with this whole exercise I had you do a year from now, because about half of you were like, I'm not sure, I'm not, kind of waffling back and forth. This might help you with that. So what you'll want to do is, obviously be kind of like in a room by yourself, sit and get comfortable, sit in a comfortable chair, and you're going to close your eyes and take 3 really deep breaths. Like, just get your body really comfortable and relax, kind of settle in your body, being super present, trying to get yourself, you're not going to want to do it when you've got 100 things going on, thinking, oh, I just got to get this done so I can move on to the next thing. Do it when you're in a good mind space, and ask yourself the question, whatever the question is, of, okay, do I want to move forward with this? Or maybe it's a situation that's come up that you're feeling really difficult feelings about, and you're just not sure how to sort it out. And this might help you, Jen, too, with the people pleasing thing. Even for small decisions. This isn't necessarily for big decisions either. It's either, it could be like a matter of saying yes or no to something. So ask yourself the question, whatever the question is, should I do this, or whatever it is, and pay really close attention to like the visceral body reaction the reaction your body has. I'm sorry, I said that backwards. Does saying yes, imagine saying yes, Does your body feel expansive, like, wow, this is kind of exciting? Or does it feel contracted, like stressed out? Do you feel, so you kind of have to pay attention, do I feel open and kind of intrigued, or do I feel dread, heaviness? So pay real close attention to that. Don't pay attention to your thoughts. This is the hard part. Don't pay attention to the thoughts. Pay attention to your physical reaction to that particular question. And notice the energy you feel, because our bodies have a ton of wisdom that we haven't tapped into, because we always rely on this, which is fine, but our bodies have more wisdom than we realize. I mean, God created our bodies in a way that, you know, like I said, our bodies communicate to us all the time. When something's hot, you know, it travels through our body and tells us, get away so you don't burn yourself, you know. So our bodies are super wise, but we haven't tapped into some pieces of it. So pay attention to your physical reaction to it. And so listening to that can be super helpful. Now, here's a list of questions you can ask yourself just to kind of direct your, you know, your questioning. The question you can ask, your simple one you can ask yourself is, do I want to do this? Okay, that's a simple one. Do I feel open or closed when I imagine saying yes to this? And pay attention to your body when you ask that question. Do I feel excitement or dread? So like Christy, when you talk about like having Christina as a diamond and having more working coaches, is that exciting? Yes. Okay. You already know. You probably don't even need to do this exercise for that. But it could help for lots of other things too. If I had $20 million in the bank, would I still do this? Would I still do this, whatever it is? And this could go for like job decisions in the job. You know what I mean? Do I do this job or this job? You know, that kind of thing. When I'm with this person, organization, situation, environment, whatever it is, do I compare myself or do I feel empowered? Do I feel energized when I think about saying yes to this? Do I feel safe, understood, respected? So I can copy these all down for you and send it to you if you want. But the big thing is to listen to your body and don't overanalyze. The overanalyzation is, we're used to that because we live in a screen world. We're at the computer a big portion of our day. We live in a very cerebral world where we're thinking and we're doing, and we live from the neck up a lot. But it's retraining to listen to your body because it has a lot to say. So I encourage you to try that. Okay, so I want you to try that exercise, especially if you're kind of like in a situation like, I'm not sure where to go, I'm not sure how to feel, and then see what it does for you. It'll be interesting what you come up with. I mean, I think this is good for just in general on a day-to-day basis. When you wake up, how are you, you know what I mean? To kind of set the intention for the day. I've talked about this in previous life coaching sessions, setting intentions for the day, getting your mindset in the right place, getting your body in the right place can be super powerful. So, all right. So I have an assignment for you all to follow up on the things you guys did last week. Hold on, let me pull up the last questions from last week. I was going to pull it up and then I forgot what I was. Okay, so the questions from last week. Okay, we talked about the first one, the self-limiting beliefs. We talked about self-limiting beliefs. Make sure if you haven't done this, or even if you have started doing it, this is a really important one, that next to the self-limiting belief, that you write a statement as to why that's not accurate, why it's not true. Because we've taught ourselves to believe these feelings and thoughts about ourselves for so long, it's going to take a while to unlearn them. So don't skip it. It needs, and these empowering statements need to be things that you remind yourself of daily. It's got to be part of like your routine, your journaling routine, whatever routine you have for yourself. And I encourage you to have some sort of routine, whether it's, you know, in the morning or night, journaling, writing, personal development, whatever it is, include that. Reading a statement, reading an empowering statement about yourself. Do some imagery, some meditation type stuff, whatever you want to do, but imagining yourself, setting your intention for the day. Again, it can be super personal to your lifestyle and how you do things. But that is super powerful to do that. And then, okay, so there's one more thing before I give you the actual, oh, thanks, Christy. You sent me yours. It can be, yes, that's what I was thinking, Christy. Yep, absolutely. So where was I going with this? Getting your routine, figuring out your routine, what's good for you. I forgot what I was saying, shoot. My brain was going in a lot of directions.
You had one more thing you wanted to say before you gave us the actual assignment. That doesn't help.
It does, actually. There was one more thing I wanted. Oh, Tony Robbins. It was something to do with Tony Robbins. And when you, gosh, I forgot. It just left my brain. It was something with Tony Robbins, something that he suggested in one of the trainings I did. And I can't remember.
Was it like something to do with setting your intentions? Because that was the last thing we were talking about, the journaling and setting your intentions for the day.
Yeah, probably, but I don't remember. Gosh, if it comes to me, I'll let you guys know what it is. It just left my brain. I hate when that happens. Anyway, so make sure, what I would like for you guys to do, and I think all of you probably have some sort of routine, but just make sure you have some sort of regular regimen of time that you're spending on you, you know, to journal, read personal development, setting intentions for the day, prayer, whatever you do in regards to any of those things. There's no right or wrong, just it's really important to do that. I like doing it in the morning. Doing it morning and night is ideal, but you know, I don't always do it at night because I generally kind of fall asleep on the couch. But get yourself in a routine of it. Oh, haha, I remember stepping into the woman, stepping into the person. Yes, I remember now. I was reading it today. It wasn't even a training. I was reading it today. Was anything that we do or that we want to accomplish in our life, I think sometimes we overthink it. We overthink it and think, I've got to do all these different things to get to this thing. Whereas really, it's just start doing it. Just do it tomorrow. Behave as if you already are whatever it is you're looking to accomplish. For Christy, this, you know, coach that's got several coaches under her, start behaving that way. Behave that you already are that person. Behave in the way, like if you're something that you really want to be is like this rock star mom who's a little bit more present with their kids, do it tomorrow. You know what I mean? There's really, some of his behavioral changes are so simple. It's like, step into that person tomorrow. What does that person look like? We've done some of this exercise in a previous life coaching course, but what does this person look like? And just do it because you are that person. It's just proving to yourself that you're that person. So those things that you want to be a year from now, you can step into it tomorrow. So it's kind of it's just a mindset shift there. Okay, so your assignment, and I will type this into the group. You can write it down if you'd like right now. All right, what have been your top 3 excuses that have stopped you before in your life? For what, and it's like a consistent excuse that has stopped you, has been a roadblock for you. And similar to the self-limiting belief one, write them down and slash them through and write down what you're willing to do, think or do or say differently and what's going to be different. Why it's not going to be true, why it's not going to, it's kind of like who's going to win, you or the excuse, you know? Sometimes we let the excuse win. Like I said before, I think sometimes it's okay to let the excuse win because we're just like, you know what I mean? But then recognize you're in control. You can make those decisions. Number 2. Now, this is a big one with fears when it comes to like accomplishing something or doing something that's scary, so to speak. What is the absolute, answer this question, what is the absolute worst thing that could happen if you moved ahead with your idea? Like truly, what is the absolute worst thing that could happen? Like an example would be, like, let's say you were looking to change jobs, and you left your job and you want to pursue something different that's not traditional. The absolute worst thing that could happen is your income goes down significantly. You're not able to pay your bills on time. You're struggle with, you know what I mean? Those are scary realities. But when you write down the absolute worst case scenario, this is what you're going to do then now. If that worst case scenario happens, you're going to kind of develop a plan. Okay, what are you going to do? So that, let's say it does happen, the worst case scenario, you have a plan. And it's not because I believe the worst case scenario is going to happen, but it's going to help rest your mind so that you can move forward. Because sometimes those, like, the other shoe's going to drop thing, you know, a lot of people worry about that. The other shoe's going to drop. And that's scary. But if you recognize the scariest thing that could happen doesn't always have to be super scary, because we can get through hard things and make a plan for it. It's not going to be so bad. So imagining what the worst case scenario is, what would you do if you found yourself in that situation? Okay. And then conversely, what's the best case scenario? Best case scenario. And then this one, I want you to write down a lot of different things, the best thing that could happen. So again, we're tapping into that pain versus pleasure. We're going to see how pleasurable it could be if you were able to accomplish that goal that you set for yourself, or that feeling you want to experience, or whatever it is. And then also recognize some of the fears that are holding you back. Can you get through it if the worst thing that happened, and you know, it is, and then it's also going to be like, no, I can't get through that. And then it's going to change your decisions. If the worst case scenario is that bad and you want to avoid it, it's going to drive your decision, and that's okay. It might change what you want to do, and maybe it's strong enough that it's just not the right thing for you. So this is going to help you kind of clear some things up. So try that visualization or that exercise. Try it on the regular too when you're coming into little decisions, Jen, like you were saying, like sometimes other people, the feeling of what other people might think. Sometimes it's helpful to do that kind of exercise for small decisions, not just big ones. And then do that exercise of your excuses. What's the worst thing that could happen? How would you handle it? What's the best thing that could happen? Write down lots of different things. And then that's going to help you be like, oh, it's going to give you some clarity. Okay, I'm good. I can do this. Or no, this is not the right thing for me. I don't think I should do this.
Just like the pros and cons list.
Kind of. I mean, it kind of is. But it's really tapping into and recognizing, you know, is this what I really want? And if the worst thing that could happen, or if the worst thing that could happen happens, can I get through it? You know, it can be empowering, like, yeah, I can get through that. You know, so, and because we know on the other side of something hard is always something really great. It always is. So recognize it. Okay. So that's the assignment for the week that I will touch base with you like next weekend on probably. In the meantime, step into the person you know you are already. So those feelings and emotions you want to experience a year from now, that maybe, Jen, you've already met some of your goals, but really it's not about reaching a goal. It's about experiencing a feeling. Sometimes it's experiencing joy. Maybe it's experiencing contentment. Maybe it's experiencing excitement a little bit more frequently. That might be your goal, Jen. You know, it's not always, doesn't always has to be career driven or fitness driven like people always traditionally think. It doesn't have to be those things. It can be
Yeah.
joy driven, you know.
And that's something that I've been thinking about and coming to, like, it's something that's been kind of written through a theme of what I've been thinking about and going through lately. Is like, it's feeling right now. It's how am I feeling? And like going back to like how my family feels and, you know, what they're trying to get me to do and what have you. And so it's like, I want to see that. I want to do that. I want to have the fun. I want to be all laxy daisy and everything, but I can't. So it's all about feelings. And so I liked the whole step into who you want to be and just do it. Like, don't just say, okay, I've got to have everything perfect. I've got to have this plan. I've got to do this. I've got to do, just
Be
freaking
that
do
person.
it.
Be the person
Just-
you want to be.
So I really like that. I wrote a lot of the notes on that. So
Okay,
I'm going to do that tomorrow.
Right, you do that. But you also find that being this person you want to be is that you already are that person. It's just really recognizing and letting it shine, you know, letting it come out and relaxing into it and enjoying it. But it's a powerful kind of mindset that, oh, I can just do it. I can just be this, you know, and just behave in that way. Keep it simple, you know, don't overthink.
So one excuse I think that I will come up, like, how do you deal with, like, for my daughter, for example, and I think I talked to you about this in the last class. It makes me feel really bad. I got mom guilt real bad about this one, but when I'm genuinely happy and it shows, or I'm joyful, and it freaks her out. And I'm not kidding. It makes her very uncomfortable. It makes her anxious. And I don't know how to deal with that one.
Mhm.
Like, so for a very long time, like I held it back, and like last year when I first started all this process, I finally just told her one day, it was like, you know, I'm going to be joyful. I'm going to be smiling. I'm going to be laughing. I'm going to be silly because I want to. I've spent my whole life having to hold back. And I'm sorry that for 14 years, that's all you've ever known is your mother to be this cranky, bitchy person. And I'm sorry, you know, and so, you know, it's gotten a little bit better, but there are still times where she'll literally just look at me like, why are you smiling? And I'm like, I don't know. Any thoughts on how to deal with that one? What do I do?
Well,
No.
I think that, I mean, already having the conversation with her, like, this is some things that I'm going through. I think being transparent with her that I've been working on some stuff, and maybe even asking her, like, tell me a little bit more about what you're experiencing when I'm behaving this way. What's going on with you? I want to hear more, and like listen and see what she has to say. Have her join you in your process. Like, this is really cool what I'm trying to work through. Maybe say, hey, you want to do this with me a little bit? You want to hear what I'm doing? I know it seems really weird, you know. Now that she's getting older, you can have more candid conversations with her. You know, I don't know her, you know, I don't know how she would respond with those types of things. It's hard when they're
Yeah.
teenagers because they're definitely, you know, a
She's
different species.
almost 16, and we can sometimes have the conversations, and like sometimes she can be receptive, and then other times it's nope.
Well, yeah. So you have to kind of pick and choose when you have those, you know, conversations.
Usually it's whenever she's locked in the car with me and she can't go nowhere.
Those are the best conversations because they're not forced to have eye contact with you.
That's definitely a tool that I use.
Yeah. So that can be tricky. But I think, you know, you'll probably have to kind of pick and choose when you have situations when it comes up. Be like, listen, tell me more about why is this upsetting you? I want to hear it. And see what she has to say. And maybe just kind of reveal some things, you know, about what you've been going through and like and how it feels to, you know, work on these things. And that can be good for you guys to have that conversation, but I know it's hard at that age too. So you kind of have to be, you know, sometimes handle it with kid gloves. Ava's just getting, she's 12 and a half. She's still, it's a funny age. I mean, those of you who have older kids than 12, it's like she's crossing over into the teenage stuff, but she's still very like mommy, you know, a little bit. But then some days she's not. Sometimes she's kind of crabby, and I'm like, whoa, I've never seen this kid. It's very bizarre.
It gets worse.
I can't wait.
But it's weird because sometimes, like, it's that way 90% of the time now. But then every once in a while, it's like, oh, very nice.
Instead of the other way around.
But I mean, and that's the other thing too. I have to remember and recognize, like, she's going through things that, you know, that 15 to 16, like, it's like the worst time. I remember it was my worst time.
Yeah.
And so I try to be supportive of her, and I try to get her to join in with me and do things, but I'm the last person she wants to do anything with.
And don't make it stop you, because it's a healthy thing. You know, even if she's weirded out by it, it's healthy. And it's good for her to see you that way. And it's a very impressionable time right now for her to see you the way you are doing. And kids sometimes show on the outside something different than what's going on inside. She might be like, what is going on? But then inside she might be feeling something different. We don't know. You know, it's and they're also very self-centered at this age. It's just natural, it's normal. And so they're very focused on their world and what they know. And most of the time it has to do with their friends or whatever it is that they're thinking about. So they're a different species, which feels weird because I feel like I was a teenager like yesterday, but apparently I'm not. So anyway. All right, ladies. Well, thanks for hopping on. Enjoy the rest of your evening. And I will touch base with you this week. I will post the assignment in the group, and the little exercise I'll put in there too, just so you have it. And I'll be touching base in the group and with you guys privately too. So.
Awesome.
Thank you so
Thanks.
much.
Have a good night, everyone.
Yeah, have a good night. Talk to you soon.
Yeah.
Bye.